Hey everyone, this is Gary Kay, and I'm excited to come to you live with a new Rants and Raves video cast. I've got Todd Riggs on with me. Todd is with Ross Video and is the Director of Product Management for Hyperconverged Solutions. First off, Todd, welcome to my Rants and Raves video cast.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for having me.
You know, it's interesting. From what I know, the little I know about it, Hyperconverged Solutions is sort of like a thing y'all had to make up, a name that you had to create to explain what you're doing, which is basically if you buy into Ross Video's ecosystem of products. It started with the Ultrix, and you can build on that. You're buying sort of future-ready solutions, right? Like you start with a matrix switcher, and you can turn it into a multi-viewer. You can turn it into a series of encoders and decoders. You can use it as a broadcast platform for in-house production or full-fledged broadcast. You can use it for signal routing and distribution in schools. You can do kind of everything with it. And what you've done is, we talked offline, you used to build these things as separate little products. You put them all in one product, and you had to make up a term, Hyperconverged Solutions, to kind of explain it all. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's great. What has happened is products. So what's going on is we need to streamline workflows. One of the things that we hear from our customers quite a bit is they want a simple, streamlined workflow. And they're looking to get as much of an ROI out of the products that they buy as possible. And so kind of under the hood, there's a lot going on with the components that we buy and use to build products. And so what these advances in these components are allowing us to do is to build products that can do a lot of different things. And like you mentioned, they can be routers, they can be multi-viewers, they can be production switchers, they can be video and audio processing. There's all kinds of things we can do with this technology. And when you put these things into single platforms, they become they become a bit unique. It's not just one product or maybe a different product. It can be all of them. And so to describe that and to talk about the workflow benefits and, the ROI and the extended life that you get out of these platforms, we had to think of a way to describe it. And so this idea of hyperconverged solutions is what has come to the forefront, and it has really resonated with the customers we've talked to because it does allow them to buy into a single platform and then have the ability to add or have it adapt to new workflows and features as they need. So it's been a huge benefit for the customers that have been using it.
So if I look at the history of Ross, y'all have dominated the production world for many, many years, and standards based, right? SMPTE 2110, everyone knows that's sort of like the way things are routed in production. But y'all are also capable of doing rental and staging. You're capable of doing integration in schools and corporations and government applications. I think people look at you as a production company, but with this hyperconverged solutions concept, what you're doing is kind of bringing this high-end production capability into sort of any space. And I'm wondering, are you sticking to the SMPTE 2110 sort of standard? And like, for example, when you're doing classroom and meeting room distribution, are you doing that as IPMX, as 1 gig, or are you doing something different? Like how are we connecting the broadcast history of Ross to everything else that you're talking about?
So it's kind of an interesting thing. In our world, the transport, how you move things between is actually a secondary question for us. Whether it be an IP transport or an SDI transport, that's actually secondary for us because what we're trying to do is provide a tool, which is the platform that provides all of this capability and all this ability to be upgraded or changed as people need it. And then we work with customers to figure out what the best transport is, because there's not one right answer to that. There are plenty of people that will use 2110, as you mentioned. That's fine. There are plenty of people that will use SDI. There are a lot of people that are going to use fiber even. So what happens is, in these different environments, whether it's broadcast or houses of worship or corporate or things like that, one of the things that we do is we actually work with them about the workflow that they're trying to achieve, and then we help them figure out the best transport. And sometimes it's completely one, sometimes it's a hybrid. It really is very it's very user dependent.
And in fact, I give you a hybrid example. You're a corporation and you have an in-house production suite, but then you also have meeting rooms. And what the signal routing and distribution to the meeting rooms could be HDMI, could be network, could be whatever. But to the broadcast area, it's going to be something 2110 possibly, or as you said, SDI. So I see what you're saying now. So kind of the analogy I would use is, you have a computer, and let's say you got a computer because you're primarily writing papers and browsing the internet. But yet that computer can also be used for an accountant for Excel and other things. You just don't open Excel if you're not interested in accounting, but it has the capability of doing both. In fact, it has the capability of doing anything you download to it. So kind of the way I look at this is that you're sort of providing that CPU processing power, and hey, tell us what you want to do with it. We're going to give you the gazintas and gazatas and all the connectivity in between.
Yeah, that's actually a really good way of putting it. That's exactly what we're doing. The platform does what it does. How you move in and out of it is really dependent upon,
what the customer wants.
Your comfort, your staffing, all of that. So we've really tried hard to not make this. We've tried hard to make the focus not on the gazintas and gazautas as you used that term, but more on the platform and the workflow and
the user interface and how it works and what it's going to be compatible with. Well, you're also providing sort of consulting services to kind of to join this ecosystem or platform, I guess you'd call it, which, as I said, the base started with Ultrix 10 years ago, and it's built upon that. So if you want to learn more, go to rossvideo.com/applications, or click on the applications link and then look for Hyperconverged. So you can go to rossvideo.com/applications/hyperconverged. Todd, I really appreciate you joining me today. I think this is an interesting concept, because in our side of the world, if you look at the ProAV world, everything's about specifications and transport protocols and compatibility. And what you're saying is, forget about all that. Let's talk about the workflow and user interface first, and then let's worry about all the other stuff afterwards. And I think your consultative side of that is going to help. There's actually a video on there that you can go watch from Brandon, I guess, Rada. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that right.
Yeah, that's correct.
Rhoda, that talks about this, that you should take a look at, that kind of wraps this all up. But also Todd's available. I'm going to put links in the description of this video cast so you can get in touch with Todd, but also directly to the Hyperconverged website. Todd, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And thanks for watching.